Hi there, you're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. Today we are hanging out in the backyard and we're going to start dismantling this whole theme garden. So for a couple of years I've used this space as a theme garden. We've been focusing on black and white flowers with a splash of red. There were successes and failures with that whole idea, but now we are removing a bunch of things and we're going to build a greenhouse in there. In order for us to do that, we've got to get this space cleaned up and ready for the build. So the first thing that we're going to do in this area today is weed. That's what Spencer's doing behind me there. I'm going to grab the hula hoe and zip through as much as possible. We have never mulched the ground in this area. I had intended to for this spring or summer to mulch all the pathways, but then we decided we're going to build a greenhouse, so the raised beds are going to get taken out, and a bunch of things are getting taken out. So it's you know, time, effort, and money waste if I mulched it now. Yeah, so that's the first thing that we're going to do. And then the next thing that we're going to do is all of the small planters and containers in here. We have lots of containers. Some of them I've just stored for the winter. Just put them someplace from some other projects. Over in this space, those need to be removed. And then we have a bunch of containers in here that have bulbs, mostly tulips and daffodils. And we're going to take all the bulbs out. They're all spent. They're done. They've bloomed. They've flowered. Their foliage is gone. So we're just going to get all those bulbs out and put them in bins to store. And then we could empty the containers and move them out of here, either to store or put in a different part of the garden, or put all fresh soil in and use them in this garden at a later date. All right, let's do it. Now that we have the garden weeded out, we're going to pull all of the tulips and daffodils out of the small containers. So we have all these little containers. Yeah, so
leave dirt around the roots.
You can leave the roots. We're not storing these right this minute.
Okay.
They have to dry out.
Okay.
So the roots are going to be a little bit damp. Just going to leave them in there and let them dry. And the idea is we're going to fill this all up with just tulips and this one up with the daffodils. And they're just going to be a big mix. We already know that the tulips in this garden are all purple, white, and red. So we're going to pull tulips out of there. We're going to take the lilies that are coming up and transplant them. This is all daffodils. This is all tulips. And there's tulips and lilies in there that we're going to take out. And then we have some random other things in here. We have this that I put seeds in the fall to see if they would grow over the winter. That method does not work in this garden. So we're just gonna empty this out and store the bucket. And same with that one. There's tulips in that bigger container. I'm gonna move those out and empty them. We'll move this rhubarb out and give it away. We've got another rhubarb over there. I think I'm gonna move this rhubarb maybe to our front yard or something like that. We've got another big container full of angel wing mix that we're gonna pull out of here. So that's the next phase of this project. So we got all of these containers emptied. We ended up with this many tulips. Just kind of let them dry out in there. Let's spread them out a little bit. This many daffodils, maybe like a little over a dozen. And like 7 lilies, and I just stuck them in there because they will grow this season. I'm gonna transplant those when I transplant all of these in the next section of the project. So we have tons of bulbs in here that can be taken out and stored, and bulbs that need to be transplanted. We've got all this heuchera to transplant and hollyhock to transplant. And then over there I've got a canna and some columbine that needs to be transplanted. So that's why those containers are still here. All the soil that had the bulbs in them was like half of them were done last fall and the other half were done the previous fall. So the soil still looked really good. It could be recharged with some compost and some fertilizer, like a slow release fertilizer and some compost. The containers that I knew had some problems, like my plants showed some like earwig damage, we just dumped those containers in our compost. And then we couldn't put any more raised bed mix. Well, it was raised bed mix that I put in those containers. We couldn't put any more of the soil in here because the potatoes need a little bit of the foliage to show to keep growing. But then that's perfect because those will keep growing, and we could use a bunch of the soil from this bed to finish filling this bed up as these potatoes grow. We got my strawberries all weeded out, and I put those little container like flats down there so that the strawberries will grow over it and the actual berries just lay on that plastic, and it stays a lot cleaner that way, and I have a lot less slug damage. And then the rest of it just got weeded, not perfectly, but enough so that I know that I'm not dragging weed seeds all over my garden. So the next thing we'll do is move our blueberries, empty those containers, and start taking everything out of this raised bed. Okay, that is going... I have birds not happy with me because it's night. It's time for them to like do whatever they do at nighttime, and I'm in their vicinity. Anyway, that is going to do it for this video. I hope that you're having a great day and you're celebrating your life. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.